Hi, Latinos in Clinical Researcher. Thank you so much for being here today. We are having a webinar with all the co-founders, and it's on a really good topic. So we wanted to bring this to you. So first things first, thank you for being here and taking the time to watch this webinar. And please like and share and subscribe. So we felt that it was really important that we discuss a pretty major topic that has been brought up, and actually by two of our ambassadors, Christine and Cassandra. So thank you so much, girls. We wanted to bring up a topic as far as why is it important as a clinical research professional, whether you're fresh in the industry, trying to get in the industry, or currently in the industry, why it's important for you to get involved with organizations, and not maybe just specific, ethnicities, but, for good cause, for all sorts of great things, right? So this brings up a really good, important topic that Judy, one of our co-founders, had brought up. So Judy, if you want to take it away from here.
Yeah, so recently on a social media platform, I did see a comment that somebody had posted as to, and they were questioning, and it was more, I don't know if I would say it was a nice comment, but they were pretty much questioning why the various ethnic groups are popping up in clinical research and what was the purpose and are they really needed? So I thought that was a pretty interesting comment, because I guess there's a lot we can speak on as to why they're needed.
Yeah, for sure. Most definitely. I mean, I would like to just mention one of the reasons for me personally why I think it's super important is because ever since we started Latinos in Clinical Research, and that's that we're co-founders, we've been involved and introduced with so many new people from all over the world, not just here in the US. And it's brought up other opportunities, other, knowledge of research that we weren't necessarily aware of here in the US, right? As opposed to how they handle research maybe in South America. And it's just like you're learning, and it's also good to be aware of opportunities, other people, and what they're doing, and how it is that, two organizations or, two like-minded individuals or five like-minded individuals can come together and really make a difference, right? And I think that that's one of the good biggest points for sure. I don't know, Monica or Dan, Chris, if y'all had any other thoughts.
Well, I have a lot of thoughts about it, but I will let Dan to start.
Yeah, I was gonna say I have a lot of thoughts too. I mean, for us, it makes sense because whatever you can do to cause less friction for anybody to get into research, the better. So if that means having a Latinos in a research group, having a Black women I'm all for that. So I don't see it as a negative at all. I know some people might. Do I think it's necessary? Yeah. If it helps people feel more comfortable about having these conversations, people network. A big part of this industry is people networking and referring one another to jobs. So if that's easier amongst smaller groups you feel more comfortable with, then I see that as a positive thing. And this is coming from a Caucasian male. So that's my take on it.
So did you want to go, Monica?
No, I'm going to go at the end.
Okay, so I may be totally out of step here with what's being said because I've been disturbed by my grandchildren through this whole thing. So I'm not following the conversation too well. But I would say, as Dan's saying, networking is crucial, but also it's really kind of a forced pattern. And what I mean by that is right now there's huge disparities in patient participation in research. And how do we as a community conquer that? Well, we have to have more involvement at levels that are identifiable by those patient populations that need to be more involved in the community, right? So if it's all Caucasians and Hispanics, Asians, Black people, that's all they see, they may be less inclined to participate, right? And the drugs at this point are designed essentially on the Caucasian chemistry, right? The biology of the Caucasian. So it doesn't work as well for these other communities. And as a Caucasian, I feel not white guilt, but a problem with the fact that there are these disparities, right?
Yeah.
That the drugs aren't as effective for these other patient populations. So they certainly need to be represented.
Yes.
And how do we do
Agree.
that? We have more involvement at all different levels in research.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So from my point of view, obviously following all that you guys have been saying is that those are the most obvious reasons, and additionally, making sure these organizations can give the support enough also to these communities to feel that they are represented somehow, and it will give that strength to be part of it. There are many professionals out there that are thinking, I would love to be part of this, but they still thinking about it. What if I don't get hired? What if because my accent or my English that is not, it doesn't sound the same as the American English or the native English, is not gonna be taken, included. And
Yes.
that's talking about the workforce, right? And then
Yes.
when we talk about the community participating in clinical trials, obviously this organization is super important because then they have a place to go to ask questions and to answer this, to get the answer of these questions from somebody that understands their needs, from somebody that looks like them. And also we are showing our younger populations that what is the face of somebody working in clinical trials.
Exactly.
It's not just one, it's not black and white, it's just many colors. So these organizations are very important because it gives the support in all the areas needed for the industry to grow, in all the areas needed for the medications and the research to advance properly, to be represented, and to get drugs that work for everybody. Probably right now in your family, there is nobody that has Latino heritage, but who knows? Maybe in the future, your grandchildren or your daughter-in-law, your brother-in-law, who knows? You're gonna have somebody in your family that is part of our community or any minority that is not represented. And if it wasn't because of these organizations, then there will be no really a focal point for bigger organizations to see our needs. And also we help, we can be like a roadmap for them to guide them to these minority groups and make really happen things, because we hear organizations working every day and talking about diversity, but everything becomes only words.
Yes.
We don't see actions, and that's what we need, actions, true actions, and that's what we're doing. We're making words, we're transforming those words into actually actions.
So I'd like to put the three ladies on the spot real quick. So
and I wanted to add something too.
We're all in research. We're all in research. But have you three participated in a clinical trial as a patient?
I have.
Any of you?
No, I have not.
No, but I've signed up and I just didn't get in. I didn't qualify. But yeah, so I haven't yet.
But you have, Monica.
Yes, in two.
In two. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I have not. Yeah. Thank you.
Shame on you. Shame on you.
I have participated in two, and on top of that, I have spread the word everywhere. I actually all my friends around me. I will say that at least out of 10, at least 5 are now in research.
Very good.
Awesome.
Well,
Awesome.
now is that as patients or working in the industry?
Some of them started as patients and then got interested.
Okay.
I spread the word everywhere because I think because I think this is a great industry to be in. And additionally, if you want to put a little bit of contribution to breakthrough or to the society, this is a way to do it. I mean,
Exactly.
mhm.
And I do want to say something to that, Monica, because recently, you all know, my brother got COVID like a month, 2 months ago. And it was actually through LICR and us interviewing Dr. Hassan, and not prior to knowing that she was doing COVID trials. I was already very interested in her because of having this platform and being able to see her passion through the videos, see her knowledge, and
Do you mean Dr. Hazen? Sorry.
Hazen, yeah, sorry, I see Hassan.
Yeah,
Hazen,
okay.
yes.
Okay.
Sorry if you're listening, Dr. Hazen. And it was through that opportunity that I got to actually feel comfortable with her before even considering any type of care or anything like that. And so when he got COVID, immediately I said, "Oh, okay." Dan had gone through this. I know Monica was on her the other trial was a preventative. They said really great things about it. I trust both of them, and I've spoken with her, and I feel confident with her and everything that she's doing. Let me go ahead and reach out. There was no second guessing or anything like that, because I had this platform, these resources to hear these stories, feel comfortable. And that's the whole point of what LICR is trying to do. We're trying to bring content and people, connect people. And so, even if you feel like you're a regular in, day out researcher, you're still important to the industry, whether it's being, being a source for somebody else, linking them to this organization or linking them to somebody that they could actually be to get help from. However it is, the point being is that we all play crucial roles. And I also feel that having organizations like LICR is important, because now, just coming back to the whole part of the industry where we don't have enough Latinos in all ethnicities, right? In the research industry, we're giving a place for these sponsors and CROs. We're kind of putting a situation in which it's like, hey, if you say you need more more diversity in your organization, you have a place to come to. You can collaborate with us. You can work with us to have access to our members so that you can get diverse clinical researchers and make sure that you are being inclusive in your organization. I don't think before that was necessarily the full case, but now with, Latinos in clinical research, Black women in clinical research, and all these other ethnicity organizations that are popping up, it's great, because it's now giving no reason for why these organizations are not making the steps to make sure that there's diversity and inclusiveness within the organization, like there should have been from the get-go. Right. So I just want to say that.
So did your brother participate in Hazen's study?
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
And did it benefit him?
Yes.
Yeah.
It did.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I'm so grateful.
vicariously you've participated in research. You forced your brother into it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yes.
good.
So I actually wanted to add, because everything you guys mentioned, 100% agree. I think on a personal level, I actually wanted to add. So I've been in research for 17 years, but when I started in research, I didn't feel, other than the staff that I worked with at that research center, that I was connected with anybody else in research. And then years later, joined, the other organizations that exist in clinical research, and I still felt like, yeah, I was part of this organization, but I didn't really know a lot of people in research. So you're part of this group, but I mean, when do you really connect with each other unless you see each other at investigator meetings, or even investigator meetings? People don't really always talk to each other. And so I think the past several years, I've been more connected with people in the research industry. I've met a lot more people. I've done a lot more things. But even that, it took a long time for me to get there. Honestly, I mean, it's barely like the past 3 or 4 years, maybe I've been doing more of that. So it took a lot. And even being part of some of those organizations, I still feel like they're missing stuff, you know, like I think they need to do more to connect people within the industry and clinical research. And like sites should talk to each other, research coordinators should talk to each other, researchers, you know, like we can help each other out that way. And I still feel there's a big disconnect. And that's a huge reason of Latinos in clinical research was I wanted to be part of, because we need to change that. And then overall, that's going to make a trickle effect to increase everything, diversity and research, you know, maybe recruit better if we connect with all these other offices and clinical researchers. I just don't see why it's been so difficult. And even to this point, as a research site working on studies, and you always get those newsletters, you know, always see all these doctors that are, you know, high performing doctors. I will reach out to sponsors and I'll be like, can you find out what they're doing to recruit all these patients? Like, are they doing something we're doing differently? I would like to know, please share that. Most of the time I don't get a response back. Like, you know, it's like they keep us separated when we should be sharing like best practices, right? Like what's working for these sites on the studies, could we do it? And it's just like, we need to change that. And that's, I think, one of the huge things being part of organizations. I think if you are connected, you can make a change in that, and it'll affect, you know, where you work, what you do in your, and possibly, you know, same like recruitment, increase recruitment.
Yeah, I agree. Shameless plug, join DSCS Site Network and you'll be plugged in by default. But I want to add, it's true, you know, this industry is so secretive. I remember when I got started in 2005, like any information I would get would come from like my monitor. Oh, I had one monitor. She was like my LICR, my clinical trial guru. She was my podcast, my book. She was everything. The industry is so secretive. People don't even help or share how they get in necessarily with other people or how they start a site. Maybe the site thing's understandable, but how you start a career in research. So anything that fosters networking and collaboration, I think, is a net positive for the industry. Look, we don't need to be secretive about information. There's a shortage of investigators, shortage of patients, definitely a shortage of workers in the space. So I think this is net positive, a very good thing for the industry, which is why we started in the first place. And remember, the lowest common denominator, which is in this case, the denominator of greatest importance, is the patients. At the end of the day, we need more patients from all ethnicities, backgrounds to join clinical research studies.
And I'll give you a shameless plug too. So I think you're incorrect. Well, correct for the time period, but now I think that's not so much the case any longer. You know, with YouTube channels such as yours and what we're doing here, and just there's lots of information now in terms of the research industry. I don't think it's as secretive as it once was by any means.
No, but it still could be overwhelming.
I kind of agree with Dan, though. There is some areas where it's still secretive, like even with recruitment. That's what I'm talking about, recruitment to this day when I want to get simple answers. So yeah, in some areas, like there's a few things here and there that's kind of like, why is it so difficult to get the answer, right?
But even in those cases, I think that's more dependent upon the organization. What I mean by that is, I'm sure, Judy, you've had sponsors come to you and say, hey, how are you succeeding with recruitment? You're doing well. These other sites are not. We may want to share what you're doing with these other sites. I'm sure you've had that happen.
Yeah.
I have.
And I don't mind sharing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I'm saying it's just dependent upon the certain companies or organizations are a little more secretive for whatever reason. I just think that trend is dying out.
Yeah.
Personally.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah.
But it's probably dying out because of all these organizations.
Certainly.
If it wasn't, I mean, like, for example, we have our network of sites and sharing studies and leads has grown so much since the COVID started. And it's because of all this communication. And we were kind of forced to go around, outside the regular path that everybody used to take, and when you go outside the box is when magic happens. So that's exactly what happens with COVID.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I have seen some change, so that's good, right? And it'll continue to change. So
that's why these groups are good, all right? So guys, stop asking on these Facebook groups. these
Just join.
questions. No, I get it. You can ask. And by the way, all ethnicities welcome. All backgrounds welcome.
Which, I wanted to add to that. I do understand too, though, for people who work at a site, maybe located in a larger city, maybe they don't have recruitment issues. They're connected to, however they're connected. So they don't understand outside of that. There's all these other sites and other communities that probably have different experiences, especially with recruiting. And so I do understand the other side of that comment and why people think that too. But that's why, like Chris said, now there's all these resources, there's videos, people, will start to see this and hear more of this and understand that, outside of their facility, it's a lot different sometimes than what they're used to.
I would like to add something to what you just said, but sometimes people don't understand the other side of the coin.
Sure.
Because, for example, let's say that person that made that comment that was questioning probably have never had a come across or don't have a family member that had a problem with a treatment that didn't work because that treatment was tested mostly in the chemistry or certain community, right? Or have never heard somebody in their family having second thoughts about joining an industry because they think they are not good enough or they are not enough to be part of that industry, or because they don't understand, or because they don't have somebody to answer their questions. And the beauty of diversity, the beauty of having these groups too, is that a lot of good ideas come out of these groups, and a lot of great improved products, a lot of great best research. Because when the team is diverse, and diversity doesn't mean only ethnicity, it means everything. It means gender, it means age, it means a lot of things. When a team is diverse, the product or the service or the research is much better because it has totally different point of views from a diverse group. So that was my point.
I agree.
I definitely agree. And I guess it's important to end with, look, we're at the end of the day, like I said, we're trying to get more patients in, a better representation. I know there's a lot going on in society right now with divisiveness, and just because we talk about diversity, it doesn't mean that it's divisive. So I think it's important to separate those two things.
Yeah, that's great. A great point, Dan. I completely agree.
I thank you, Chris. That's I appreciate it. I can't wait till you start a YouTube channel also, Chris. Everybody's been waiting. Everybody's been waiting.
You're very funny.
So anyways, guys, all ethnicities welcome. Subscribe to our blog, LatinosInClinicalResearch.com. A lot of our members, I would say 25%, are non-Latino. They're whites, we have Black, Asian, we have all ethnicities in there. So just subscribe, join. It helps to learn about these issues in the industry. This is a real issue. FDA has said, here's another thing we didn't mention. FDA has said to sponsors, we will not approve your drug unless we have proper representation that is equal to the reality of the patient population who will take this drug. So you get things like sickle cell, you have things like Alzheimer's, you have things like lupus that are traditionally like African American, Hispanic. And then in the studies, you've got like 80% Caucasian. FDA has said, so it doesn't even matter what we say or what some lady on Facebook comments. The FDA has already decided. So case closed. This is why we're doing this. Thank you, guys. I guess we'll end it on that. I appreciate it. Subscribe, LatinosInClinicalResearch.com, and we'll catch you all later. Bye-bye.